We are live for episode 2 of So I Guess We're Dads Now. We're back. It's only been, what, a month or so since since our first episode, the inauguration.
Pretty consistent, though.
It is for us, yeah.
When we did the pre-pilot episode, I think it took us about 3 months to get our act together to do the next one.
Yeah, because I think this format works for us. You know, busy dads, working bits, side hustles, musicians on the side, that sort of thing. I think this format does suit us. And I think it suits our, listener base that we've slowly started to create already, which I'm quite proud of.
It's incredible.
Which brings me on to our first topic, which is a quick plug. We now have socials. We're on social media, lads. I don't know if you've seen it. We've got an email address. If you want to send us an email, you could be the first person to ever hit our inbox. It is so I guess we are dads now at gmail.com.
Nice.
Rolls off the tongue, that one. YouTube. We're on YouTube. That's where our first episode's gone up as well. Obviously, we're recording it all live and then it's going to go straight onto the YouTube. Oh, I say straight on there. A few days later, it'll be on there. So I guess we're dads now, if you search that on YouTube. Facebook. There's a theme here. So I guess we are dads now, if you search that. Here's where it's,
I can't detect it.
Here's where it slightly changes for Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, and Instagram, because you can't have it a username that's that long. We are dads now pod. So
nice.
Just streamline it a little bit. But yeah, so for Twitter and X, we are dads now pod. Instagram we are dads now pod. So
What are we on Blue Sky?
Sorry.
What are we on Blue Sky?
Mr. Blue Sky. We will be .blue sky at We Are Dads Now pod. I'll set that up after.
Nice. What about TikTok?
You know what? Actually, Lizzie made
what about Thread?
Threads. Snapchat. Honestly, there's so many different socials now. But Lizzie did make a good point. I might do a TikTok for us, and we can just post like funny stuff on there and whatever. Just funny little videos of us. Coming out with the nonsense that we usually do.
That is, we've actually got to be funny.
Yeah, this is true. Remains to be seen on that one. But yeah, lads, we've made it. Second episode. Statistics show that podcasts usually foul after the first episode.
Really? After the first episode?
No, I do lie. I think it's about 6 or 7, which I think is probably what we reached. We didn't even reach that before, actually. I did see a thing once, and it was about 6 or 7 episodes is like usually the point at which
when people give up.
Point when they give up.
I know there's a couple of things you wanted to talk about early doors, Louis, but can I please queue jump to the snack check?
Honestly, that was all I wanted to talk about. That for me personally. I mean, that's me done. I'm going to leave now. See you later, lads. Yeah.
The reason I want to queue jump is because my snack potentially might start to melt.
Go on, here we go. What is it then? A block of ice or something?
So I've got.
He's got an ice sculpture. Oh,
Twister.
mate!
No, it's like the Audi ripoff.
Come on, let's twist again. Love that. That is.
You've gone for the red one, not the green one.
Are they green? It is a bit green. I can see a bit of green on there.
A little bit. Yeah.
It's red and green.
I saw a little bit of green at the end, I think.
Oh, just like is the dress blue and black or is it white and gold?
Normally when it's a bit green at the end, you normally want to get that checked out. But what's your snack then, Ollie? I do appreciate a twister though. That's a good shout.
I've gone for the snack of legends.
Love
Pick
that.
A bit of beef jerky.
Beef Berkey, as David calls it. So what's the difference between beef, I was going to say beef Berkey and biltong? What is the difference?
I believe, now the internet will probably correct me here, but I think it's location, isn't it?
I'm gonna Google it.
South African, beef jerky is American.
You'll probably find they're like cured slightly differently or something.
Let's have a look.
Here
we go. Difference between biltong and jerky. Biltong and jerky are both dried and cured meats, but they differ in their preparation. You're correct, David. Texture and flavour. Biltong, a South African delicacy, is traditionally air-dried and cured with vinegar and spices, resulting in a tender, chewy texture and distinct savoury flavour. Jerky, on the other hand, I can't be bothered to read that, but you get it. There's a difference.
What about you, Lou? What's your snack?
Oh, yeah, so me and Lizzie have just come back from an all-inclusive holiday where I sort of overindulged. So I've gone for a healthy option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how many calories my snack is, and you're going to have to guess what it is based off the calorie intake.
Go on, him.
Is that all right? 50 calories per treat. And there's a couple in here.
Per treat.
So technically I've got 100 calories worth to play with tonight. What do you reckon? What could be 50 calories?
God. 50 cat.
The only thing I can think of is like Maltesers, because they keep on going on in their adverts about how light and healthy they are. But
because they're little puffs of air. So you're going small geezers.
I reckon it's some kind of like baklava-esque treat.
Nice, I like that.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just before I announce what it is,
that's bound to be more than 50 calories, though, isn't it? That's like.
Well, before I announce what it is, we've had a chatter by the name of Life by Lizzie, saying Ollie looks very handsome in his shirt. Oh,
Straight from the office.
I did mention that your camera looks like so much better tonight. Like you've opened the blind or something in your room there, haven't you? You've just got this lovely glow about you this evening.
The only thing I've done differently is I've added this.
What
head torch.
You've got into like mining down caves. Is that? That's the end. You've changed career paths for this evening. No, my snack this evening, lads. I don't know if you've ever seen them, because I'm on, like I say, trying to get back on the health kick. Is pink and white mellows. I don't know if you've ever seen these. 50 calories. Oh, 50 calories for that. Look, nice little sweet treat. I've got 2 of them as well. So
I'd have never guessed that. To be fair,
I've got a couple of them in my sink, haven't I?
What? Brillo pad. Oh my god! Yeah, it's about the texture of a Brillo pad. No, they're all right actually. 50 calories. I'll be having 2 of those tonight. 100 calories. Get down, you. Oh my goodness. It's absolutely abrasive on the old larynx. Right, Ollie, you started before we hit live on the old stream. You were telling us George has had his what did you call it? Was it like a?
It was like a parents' induction evening. At primary school, where all of the parents sort of gathered together in the school hall with the reception teacher at the front, talking through expectations of when they start school and the sort of their warm-up days and milestones that they expect them to have hit before they get to school. Make sure you do your Velcros and how to put a pair of socks on that. And we were just talking about the colour of my camera before we came on, and I was saying one of the sort of the matrices they look at is the number of colours that the child knows. I was saying that I've been watching Bob Ross with George since the age of 1. So all he knows is all of like your phthalo blues and alizarin crimson and
magenta,
black ochre, and all this. So,
I bet George made the art teacher feel so inadequate. Absolutely showed him up. Don't tell me about primary colours.
Yeah.
That is brilliant though. But was George with you, or was it just you guys that went to it?
No, it was just the parents. So he'll start going in on his taster sessions, I think, at sort of end of July.
So
beginning of July even?
Man, that's come around so quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit scary, really.
Because that'll be us.
School uniform.
That'll be us next year, like for Ellis and Margaret as well.
Yeah,
that has come around quick. So the way I imagined it is that they had all the parents like sat down on the floor, like in an assembly hall, like cross-legged.
We were given chairs, but they were
in an assembly
3/4 height chairs for children. I was amazed it took my weight. I was a bit sceptical at first.
Well, it certainly wouldn't have took mine. I think I would have had to stand for the whole event. That is brilliant.
Fine, they held up to the task.
And David, you've recently just come back off holiday as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we were in a similar vicinity.
We were. It's like we almost planned it.
Yeah, I know.
Did you have a nice time?
Yeah, no, we did have a nice time, definitely. First holiday with a kid is a bit of an eye opener, I found.
I think that could be an episode in itself.
Yeah,
we'll come back. We'll come back to that properly at some point.
Circle back to that one. But I think the worst thing for us really was that they sort of advertised that the place had like a kids club, and it didn't. Well, it did if you were Italian.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Ellis isn't Italian, so
yeah. So that kind of ruled that out for him.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a shame.
But it is a shame. But yeah, it was decent. It was, it was a nice time
for us because we went away for a wedding. We actually, well, for me, I found it quite difficult. But we left Margot at home. She stayed with my parents for the week. I mean, she loved it because our dog stayed there as well. So she was like, "Oh, I'll get to have a sleepover with Ringo at Nanny and Grandad's." So she absolutely loved it. And I must admit, the first couple of days, it was like, "Oh, great, decent night's sleep and that sort of thing." But a few days in, I was like, I really miss her now. Like, and I kind of, wish we took her with us. But yeah, we had a really nice time. The wedding all went well and stuff. There was some crazy stuff that happened like before and after the wedding, but maybe I'll go into that at some other point.
I think that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Probably not a parenting podcast, but yeah.
Did you feel the same earthquake that we felt? Did you feel it?
I got the notification. Did you get it? Did you feel it?
Well, it was about 10 to 2 in the morning, and I was awake because it was hot. Like, I woke up quite a lot in the night out there just because of the heat. And I got the same. My phone started blaring with this. I was like, oh my god, how did I set an alarm? And I looked down, and it said earthquake warning, like duck, hold, and cover or something like that. And as I was working out to try and silence it, because obviously I was in the same room as Connie and Ellis, I was like, oh my god, the building's vibrating.
So you actually felt that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess you guys were probably closer to it, I think, than we were.
We were about 35 kilometers from the epicenter, apparently.
That's not far, is it?
No,
that's
really.
That's like from
so whereabouts was it? You were on holiday? Greece, was it?
Yeah, Rhodes.
You was in Rhodes, weren't you? And we was in Cyprus. So I think
conveniently we are sponsored by Rhodes, aren't we? Or trying to get a sponsorship.
Oh, what a segue that is! What an absolute segue! Oh, that is genius. Yeah, I think we was about. I think it said about 300 and something, 40 odd kilometers away. So we was like far enough away, but it did say like there was risk of like tsunami and stuff like in that area as well. Because I guess that obviously that's all linked to that as well, isn't it? So
I think they have to sort of say it, when there's been an earthquake.
Say what you see. If you see it, say it.
But yeah, no, I mean it wasn't that. It lasted like 5 or 6 seconds. It was pretty mild, really, even though we were pretty close to it. But it's just kind of bizarre. And sort of as it was finishing, Connie woke up and she's like, "Why the fuck have you set an alarm?" Sorry, we'll have to swear on this podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, of course you are. There's going to be a lot of swearing as the episodes go on, I think. Yeah, so we didn't notice anything, but because obviously we was in, there was a big group of us that was all part of the the wedding party and stuff. One of the girls, she was like, "Oh yeah," she was like, I felt the room shaking at like 2 in the morning. She was like, "But I thought it was my husband getting out of bed." Brilliant. But yeah, that was about it really. But you had a good time. You feel well rested?
No. I came back. You know that thing. People in the workplace that classic gag they love to make. I could do with a holiday to recover from my holiday.
Yeah, you was that guy.
But genuinely, I mean, I didn't make that joke. But genuinely, I came back exhausted. Like for 2 or 3 days, I was so lethargic. Like that. I mean, it was really nice to have our first family holiday. It was really warm. It was nice to be away, but it was like 24/7 entertainment crew. You had to be,
of course, yeah.
And it just, I'm not used to spending like that length of time with him because obviously I go to work and whatnot. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I came back exhausted. I can't lie.
Yeah, definitely we will 100% come back and do an episode on that.
Yeah,
Because, like I say, I think that's a topic in and of itself. I think
100%. Yeah, it needs a full and proper discussion.
Yeah, because we did it. We did it quite early on as well. Like, I mean, we took Margot when she was like probably less than, no, yeah, maybe less than a year old or a year old. So at that point, I mean, we was taking everything with us and the kitchen sink. Like just because we was unsure whether we'd be able to get all the things that you need for a baby, like when we was abroad.
Yeah.
Turns out you can, for the most part, get most things that you need. But obviously, as like new parents and stuff, we was just like, we need to take this, we need to take that. And we ended up having like another suitcase just full of like supplies, basically.
Interestingly, when Ellis was about one, maybe just over, we took him on a flight to Zimbabwe to go meet some of his family over there, and funnily enough, that was actually weirdly easier at that age than him being 3. But again,
they need more. I guess they need more entertainment when they get to this age, don't they? So
yeah, for sure.
I feel like we're just going to talk about this the whole thing if we keep on going.
Boys play by themselves as well.
Sorry?
I feel like boys play by themselves as well. Like George requires attention constantly and always kind of has done. He won't just sit there and play with his figures by himself very much at all. Whereas Betty, even now, she is
more independent,
completely independent when it comes to her play and all that. And I know Margot's pretty independent when she comes to doing a play, isn't she?
I mean, she loves her own space, like, which is
mate, that sounds like the dream
from a parenting sort of thing. It's like, but then saying that, I mean, yeah, there are moments where she wants all of your attention. I think kids just go through phases, don't they? But for the most part, she is very comfortable in her own space, playing with her toys and stuff. She's,
I'm still waiting for Ellis to have independent play phase.
Sorry?
I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for Ellis to go through an independent play phase.
Me too with George. It just doesn't happen.
Oh, and George is what, 5, right?
4.
Or 4.
See, I've got my fingers crossed for both of you guys that happens.
Thanks, mate.
When he turns 13 and doesn't want anything to do with us anymore.
Right, lads, we've got some topics. So, David, mate, your absolute legendary topics that you come up with, second to none. I've pinned them to our WhatsApp group.
Have you?
And like I said in the chat before, like, you need to come up with all the topics because they just crack me up.
Okay. Oh.
Do you want to go through your list, or is there a particular order you want to do it in? Or
yeah, maybe.
I don't know if you've.
I forgot about one of them. I've just seen it. I reckon.
I think you should start from the top of the list, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
You think?
Let's go chronological.
Well, I'll tell you what. Can I move one to the top, and then can I move the colic days to the top?
You want to talk about that first, yeah?
Down? Yeah, I want to talk about that down.
Let's do that then, yeah.
Because that's a phase that will stick with me for a long time. I don't know. I'm not sure if Margot went through it. I'm assuming at least one of yours went through it, Ollie.
I remember it being discussed quite a lot, and particularly with George, until we discovered the anti-colic bottles.
Right.
It was definitely a problem.
I was thinking about this actually, and I have consulted with Google because I thought some people that listen to this might be new dads that don't know what colic is. So obviously,
I'll be honest, I'm not a new dad, and I still have no idea what it is. Well, if the baby is uncomfortable and not sleeping, it's colic. That's my understanding.
I think that that was kind of my
head, to be honest with you.
That was kind of my thing, but it's this is what AI overview on Google has put up for us. Colic in babies is characterized by persistent and excessive crying in an otherwise healthy infant, lasting for more than 3 hours a day, at least 3 days a week for 3 weeks or more. That's a lot of threes. While the cause is unknown, it is thought to be a normal part of development that usually resolves by 3 to 4 months of age. So yeah, it's like really sort of early on, isn't it?
it used to happen mostly at night.
Mhm.
Like he just wouldn't settle. He would cry and cry and cry. And the things we'd try just to settle him, I ended up stumbling across this video on YouTube, which was just like this animated video of like fish in the sea, and it just had like really like gentle, like lullaby,
Mm.
but really gentle. And that worked for a good 4 months.
Yeah.
And I must have, all of the views on that video must be me.
I feel like we should possibly link that video on our socials.
Yeah, I'll find it and we should link it. We should do that.
We should try and get the creator of that video on the podcast. And just thank them for all of their hard work. So that's interesting, because I think a lot of people tend to go down, like Ollie was saying, like the anti-colic, like what was it, bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I thought maybe it was to do with like sort of the milk ingestion and air, and
I think that can play a part. Yeah, I think that is part of it.
I don't really know.
I think that is part of it.
To start with George, we had just bog standard sort of Tommy Tippy, bottle-y type jobbies, and yeah, he was just crying. It was good for the good sort of first probably month and a half, 2 months while he was on formula. Just no sleep. It was rough. And then we moved over to these other bottles, and it did get better. It wasn't a complete fix, but it certainly helped. And we haven't had that issue with Betty in the same way at all. But interestingly enough, we also had a soothing song that helped. It wasn't Waves and Fish. It was it was a song on YouTube called The Shape Song, and specifically The Shape Song 2, number 2.
He wasn't keen on the
Revenge of the Shapes. Yeah, no.
Sounds like we've got a bit of a playlist going here.
Yeah, it's a really chilled out song, and to be fair, like for any age kids, sort of up to maybe 3-4 year olds, I highly recommend it. I'm going to send you a link.
I am having a look here, actually. So it says causes. While the exact cause of colic is unknown, it is thought to be related to factors like gas, digestive issues, or babies developing their nervous system.
We feel like with Ellis, it was a lot to do with his gas and digestion.
Yeah, I think when Margot was struggling with it, because she did struggle with it, obviously quite early on and whatnot. I don't know if we had a sound that she like, or a song that she listened to, but I know when she was like really young, she used to like the sound of white noise. Just like you used to just say like, Alexa, play white noise, and it would spurt out whatever kind of white noise sound was available, and that used to settle her when she was crying a lot. But that was we'd seen something online that when they're in the womb, it emulates the sound. Apparently in the womb it sounds like white noise. But then another thing that when she was struggling quite bad was, and we didn't want to go down this route at first, because it was like, like sort of giving them like a medication type thing. But someone recommended this thing called Infocol, which is like a little drop that you put into
Infocol. Yeah, we used Infocol.
Yeah, but at first we was like, it's like a medicine. We don't want to like give her that because, I don't know, like, don't know what's in it, or is it going to be bad for the baby and stuff. But one drop of that, and she was just like settled for the whole night, sort of thing. It's like, give me all of the Infocol.
Yeah, we used Infocol.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a lifesaver.
You know what? Now you said that, I do vaguely remember it.
It's
the white tub and it looked like a pipette type.
Yeah,
thing,
it's got like a little dropper type thing, and I think you literally just put like one drop into the milk or whatever, and it's just like a miracle droplet basically. But I think you can get it available, most supermarkets and chemists and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, that was definitely something that we used. Like I say, we were a bit reluctant at first because we was like, oh, what is this? Like, this weird liquid that we're just going to put into our baby's food essentially. But once we figured out it did the trick, it was just like, yep, stick her on that full time.
Ollie, I'm going slightly off piste. Is that a Cruz Campo?
Yes, it is.
Ah,
Nice. Not
always
sponsored.
always time for cruising camper.
Not sponsored.
I like it.
So yeah, I mean, we've discussed what colic is, what causes it. How long did it last for then with Ellis? Did you say it lasted quite a while?
I mean,
because it says,
looking back, maybe it didn't, but it at the time it felt like it went on forever.
Yeah,
like because it's so disruptive to your sleep, and like I might well have said this last pod, and I'll probably say it every single pod because it really resonates with me. But I totally get why in like Guantanamo Bay they use babies crying as torture methods because it just goes right through you.
Has anyone fact checked that? Is that actually a thing?
Yeah.
What baby crying?
That's fantastic.
Baby crying sound as torture.
It's so stressful and distressing.
Yeah. I heard of Teletubbies being used. At least I think it was Teletubbies.
Really? What?
Something like that. Like the theme tune,
just episodes. Oh right, the theme tune.
I can't see anything about that being used as torture, so it might be. David might be able to get a patent for that.
Well, it's going to be classified technique, isn't it? Surely.
True, yeah.
Just like
I might have to go on a dark
web. Have you not watched that SAS thing where people go in like regulars that go put themselves with the SAS training?
Oh, what do they have to use it on that? Do they? Or they should.
One of the. You never seen that show?
I've seen clips of it, but I've never watched a full episode.
What the last thing that always happens is they go on like an expedition and they'll get captured, and then they observe to see how they handle what happens, because they try and emulate what would happen if they really did get captured. And on that you see them put like, they blindfold them, they'll put them in like stress positions up against the wall, and then put like headphones on them and just have like babies crying, and they'll leave them in that position for hours.
Yeah. I mean, that is horrific, actually, isn't it? When you think about it. Then they like pretend to obviously they're pretending to do it, but they basically try and drown them and things like that. Don't they? Like hold their head underwater and things like that. That's like a technique they do and stuff, isn't it? So what would you rather do? Have your head held underwater for several minutes?
Even if I don't come out, hold my head under that water.
Just finish me. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. So colic, we're not fans of colic, but
no.
And you said Betty's never experienced any of that you know of.
No, we didn't. Yeah,
it must
the coal stuff we didn't use.
It must skip a generation.
I think we went straight onto anti-colic bottles from the get-go.
So you probably prevented it before it actually became.
She never had
the issue.
Maybe that might be the difference. I don't know, or we just got lucky.
You guys are
second time round.
You were so far experienced at that point. You was like, do you know what I mean? Nothing can stop
it. No, it was because we couldn't be bothered to buy new bottles. I think it was more the issue.
I know I said I wasn't going to change the order again. However, this does segue nicely into baby illnesses, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah. Who wants to kick this one off then?
I'll go because I've got one that's coming to mind. The next one, don't think I said this on the first pod. If I did, I'm so sorry that I'm repeating myself. But the one that really springs to mind is Connie had a night shift and she just left about an hour or so, and he had a bit of a cough for like a day or so, and then he started doing this coughing that he sounded like it was something out of The Exorcist. It's called croup cough. Did we talk about this last time?
No, we didn't. We spoke about when he, excremented all over your sofa, but.
Oh, right, yeah. No, and it turned out he had this thing called croup cough. But honestly, I thought he was dying. Like I phoned Connie in apparently it's not that serious.
It sounds
most kids get it, but it sounds horrific, and that sets off their crying, and then the crying makes the croup cough worse, and just the sound is horrific. So I sort of played it down the phone to Connie, and she was like, bring him to the hospital. But turns out he was fine.
What, did you take him to the hospital that Connie works at?
Yeah.
Oh, that's handy. Like, without going into detail, or worked out, yeah. But without sort of giving too much away, but do you guys get seen quicker than other people because you work there?
Say VIP treatment.
Yeah. Are you allowed to say that or not?
Question? We got to go straight to the kids' ward. We didn't have to go to A&E.
Yeah. Well, at least that's one step out of the way, isn't it? Because,
but we didn't once we were there, we didn't sort of
skip the queue.
Queue jump.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's a good point, though. You know, you were saying like when you hear things like croup cough and all this sort of stuff, like the way just the sound of the word, it just sounds like it's going to be absolutely awful. But then, like you say, in most cases, it's like, oh yeah, this is completely common in kids, and you know, a couple of days later they're like back to normal. Like they're so resilient and stuff. I mean, that sort of leads me on to, so obviously we was away last week, so Margot was at my parents', so she wasn't at nursery for a couple of days. So she was at Nanny and Granddad's. She came back, her first week back, she's just got scarlet fever, which again, just the name of it is just like, as soon as she went to nursery, she was fine, and she woke up on like Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday, I think, yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, I don't feel too well." She had like a bit of a rash and stuff. So I emailed nursery and said, like, you know, Margot's not going to be in today, because she's got a bit of a rash and a bit of a temperature. And they was like, "Oh, no worries, thanks for letting us know. Oh, by the way, just that you know, there's scarlet fever going around nursery." I was like, "Great, thanks for letting us know." You know, so it was like, oh, brilliant. So, but again, like when I heard it, it was like, oh, scarlet fever. It just sounds, I don't know. I think I'm naturally a worrier anyway. But I was like, scarlet fever. It's got an actual name. It's like, it sounds horrific.
Yeah. I actually had scarlet fever as a kid. I remember having it.
Yeah. Oh, what, you actually remember it?
Yeah. I was like 7 or something, 7 or 8.
Well, I thought like, you know, here we go. We're going to have to sort of, you know, lock her away for weeks on end until she's like fully like cleared and stuff. But we spoke to the doctor and stuff. Like Lizzie took her to the doctors, and they was just like, "Yep, just one dose of antibiotics and a couple of antihistamines should be fine." It's like, all right, okay. Like, so it's apparently it's incredibly common, and it's like not dangerous at all, really. Lizzie's put, sounds like a Victorian disease. She's bringing back the bubonic plague next week. But yeah, so
what about you, Ollie? What about any memories that stick out to you that have been particularly bad things, or things you thought were bad and ended up not being bad?
Not specifically like diseases or infections or whatever else. George has broken his face a few times. He fell over and walked into a coffee table in Tesco's Calf and split his head open. So he's got a Harry Potter scar going on his forehead. And that happened when he was at Nanny's. And it was him and Nanny at Tesco's in March, I think it was. And Nana Viv doesn't drive. So she was by herself, and the nearest A&E department's in Doddington, which is quite a few miles away. So she had an employee took her and George in the back of their car to the A&E department. She couldn't drive, and then after we had to come and get them after that. And he was fine. He probably lost a few brain cells by it, but they just bounced back. They glued back together again, and within a couple of, pretty much straight away, he didn't cry too much or anything, and he handled it like a trooper. Other than that, nice. George and Betty, touch wood, we haven't had any major problems other than the standard coughs and colds and things that come along with being a baby and a child and whatever else. We think George got hand, foot, and mouth at one point. He had a little rash on his head, but in terms of diseases and things, it doesn't sound that bad. I mean, you've got scarlet fever and blooming. What was the one that
bubonic plague?
And then we just got hand, foot, and mouth, but it doesn't have the same sort of.
To me, again, that does sound quite horrific to me. But when I think hand, foot, and mouth, I don't know why, but I think
it's just like a children's song, isn't it? Hand, foot, and mouth.
Whenever I think of hand, foot, and mouth, I think of mad cow's disease. I don't know why.
I think of the same.
Yeah,
are they linked?
I don't know. Is it a similar sort of thing?
No.
Well, I'm going to Google hand, foot, and mouth. Anyway.
Just a little rash that comes on your hands, feet, and around your mouth.
So hand, foot, and mouth. Let's have a look at this. Hand, foot, and mouth
disease completely wrong.
Is a common viral illness that often affects children, but can also affect adults. It's known for causing mouth sores, a rash on the hands and feet, and sometimes a fever and a sore throat. So yeah, it's just more stuff that you have to contend with.
It's just when kids play with like dirty toys or whatever in nursery and put their fingers in the mouth and away you go.
Another one that I can't really say this is an illness, but another anecdote that springs to mind. Me and Connie decided to have our first getaway where we left Ellis with my mum and stepdad for the week. Obviously we were totally fine by that, weren't really concerned. And we got back after the week. We got back sort of quite late on the Saturday night because it was quite far away where we'd driven to. It was only in the UK. And my mum was quite, she said, "Oh, we're happy to drive him back on the Sunday." And I was like, "Oh, we'd appreciate that. That'd be really nice." Anyway, I wake up to my phone ringing about 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. It's my mum. I'm just like, so I answer the phone thinking, Christ, I'd rather come and picked him up and had a bit of a lay. I didn't know you were going to be bringing him back this early. And my mum, so I picked it up. I was like, "Are you all right?" And she was like, "Yeah, sorry to call so early. We thought we'd bring him back. His eye's a little bit swollen." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, fine." Yeah. She's like, "Yeah, you might want to sort of take him to get checked out." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, just bring him back, not a problem." Still half asleep. And anyway, it's about an hour and 40-minute drive. By this time, I have woken up a bit. Doorbell goes. I open the front door. Oh my God! It looked like his eye was shut. It looked like he'd done a round with Tyson or something. I've never seen anything. I've got a photo. I'll send you the photo to put up.
Yeah.
And he was all right. It didn't seem to bother him, but it looked horrific. And I was like, I'm actually going to say you undersold that on the phone a little bit, Mum.
I mean, that is but that just again shows you the resilience of kids, and it's his eyes completely almost swollen shut, and he's still absolutely loving life.
I did actually feel really bad for my mum said that because nothing they could have done about it. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Kids get stuff like that, and it just so happened to happen on their watch.
Yeah.
And they felt really guilty, and I was like, "Don't worry, nothing you can do. It just happens, doesn't it?"
It's just one of those things, isn't it? I mean, I'm trying to think. So we've had again most of these sort of significant illnesses that Margot's had seem to coincide with nursery. She's pick them up there, but it's again, it's through no fault of the nursery. It's going to happen, isn't it, when you've got kids sort of all congregating together. But she's had chicken pox. That was
she's had it.
Yeah, she's had. It was actually not as bad. Again, when you think chicken pox, you think, oh my God, this is going to be horrific. And don't get me wrong, it was bad. I mean, funny enough, talking about being with parents and stuff, me and Margot was actually staying at my parents that night. We'd gone down to visit them, and I was staying with them for the night. And I text Lizzie, and I was like, "Oh, I think Margot's got a bit of a heat rash." And I sent a picture and stuff. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, "Yeah, this ain't a heat rash. This is chicken pox." Because they came out as proper little spots and stuff in the morning. So yeah, again, it was I think a course of, was there a cream I think that we had to put on it. But I don't think the doctors prescribed us anything. We just got this cream, and then what was it called? It's like I think it's called like calamine lotion or something. Again, it's like something that my mum recommended. She was like, "Oh, I used that on you guys when you was kids." So we had this cream and then calamine lotion. But yes, she sort of got through it. One of our friends, she wanted her son to get it because like they say about having it early on is like better than getting it when you're an adult. So
shingles when you're an adult, isn't it? Is it shingles?
Yeah, I think that's Again, we're talking about medical stuff that we probably have no clue about, but Google will shine light on that for us. But yeah, our friend, she was, "Oh, can I bring my son over to have a bath with Margot?" Because she wanted her son to get it. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is something that people do that because they want to get it out of the way, sort of thing,
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, next thing I know, Lizzie's organised a bath date with our friend's son and Margot, and they came round and had a bath and that. He didn't even get it. He certainly hasn't had the spots come out. So he's not got it, like his immune system's that strong, or he carries it, but he doesn't actually show the actual, So
But isn't it with chickenpox, by the time the spots come out, it's no longer as infectious?
Yeah, I think that is a case, but I think you still can. I think it's when they're fully scabbed over. So at this point, it was quite early on. So she still, some of them had started to scab over, but not all of them. So it might have been that maybe she was at that point where it wasn't contagious anymore. But yeah, our friend's son certainly didn't get it, and as much as they tried by putting him in a bath together and stuff. But yeah, so we've had that, and then I guess another significant one is that so Margot, like when she does a lot of running and if she's overexerting herself energy wise, she does have a tendency to get a little bit out of breath. And for ages we were sort of saying like, oh, she might have a bit of like a childhood asthma or something, because I had it when I was a kid. I had quite severe asthma when I was young, which I grew out of, but the doctors were basically saying no, we can't do any tests or anything until they're like 5 years old, I think it is, for asthma.
Right.
But then we kind of kept like a bit of a diary of like things that she was doing and how she was reacting after it and stuff. And then the doctor was like, okay, yeah, I think she might have it. So they prescribed her like an inhaler, and it absolutely helped like no end. It was just ridiculous. Like when she was getting breathless and stuff, it was just, yeah. So we've had to contend with that as well a little bit. But other than that, I mean, yeah, like Lizzie said, other than waiting for the bubonic plague, we've for the most part been all right. She's not really had anything like, she's not had any injuries per se, like you said, split heads and things like that. I don't.
Same with Ellis, actually. We've been quite fortunate, touch wood, in that regard.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, she's not had anything like that springs to mind. But again, she'd probably grumble a little bit, but she'd probably bounce back from it because that's what kids do, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I guess without bringing the mood down like that horrifically, we're all fortunate to have kind of healthy children, really, because there are obviously lots of parents out there that are struggling with different bits with their kids and stuff, and obviously it's everyone's journey's different in terms of that kind of stuff, and you can't take anything for granted. So we're all very lucky.
And sort of whatever sort of card you dealt, really, you just have to crack on with it, don't you?
100%. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I think the
I made that sound
kids
really flippant. I
sort of.
didn't mean to make it sound quite so flippant, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
But the kids at the end of the day don't know any different either, and
yeah, exactly.
That's just the reality of it, isn't it? And they get by. They're fantastically resilient, as you already said, and just able to get over and adapt and overcome.
Bringing it back slightly, Lizzie has put a message in the chat saying, "Do you remember when she fell and smashed her face on the pavement?" Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What was we was doing? We was taking Ringo out for a walk, and I think this was I think Margot hadn't been walking like she just started walking a few months before, so she was, you know, fairly steady on her feet, but probably more confident than she should have been at her age. So we was taking Ringo for a walk and whatever, and she wanted to walk on her own. She was insisting, you know, she wanted to walk on her own, and I knew she was going to fall over. But everything in my body was telling me, yeah, she's going to fall over at some point. But you know, what can you do? She wanted to walk on her own, and yeah, she fell and like, of course, just landed on her face on the pavement. Didn't put her hands out or anything, and yeah, but again, she just jumped straight back up. I was like, picked her up, and she had like greys all on her head and her nose and stuff. And I was like, you know, do you want to go back home? We'll go and get you cleaned up and stuff. Which we did. We did, because we had only been out like 2 minutes out the front door. So we went back home, cleaned her up and stuff. And I said, you know, do you want to have a lay down? She was like, no, I want to go take Ringo out again. So like within a few minutes, she just wanted to go back out. But yeah, no, nice. she has had that. But that was just like a graze basically on her head. I guess it is, you know, it wasn't quite as, you know, splitting the head open, but it was not far off. But yeah, one of the things we say to her at the moment as well is like, if she falls and like grazes her knee, we're like, you know, if you fall and graze your knee, it probably means you were having a good time, like you was having fun before you fell over, sort of thing. So we try and put a bit of a positive spin on it, because she can have a tendency, like if she sees a bit of blood or something, she might freak out for a minute. But it's like, don't worry. It's like, that means you've had a good time.
We always tell George the Bruce Wayne and Alfred quote of, why do we fall, Master Wayne? So we can pick ourselves back up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, turning it into a positive.
Yeah.
You should do voiceover work.
You should. You've got a really, really good voice, just generally. But it'd be good for that.
Good. You got a good voice for video.
Timbre.
The natural timbre. What was the next one on your list anyway? Have we covered it, like child illnesses? We pretty much covered it.
Yeah, that's that. Well, I mean, this isn't a child illness, but sometimes you might be forgiven for thinking they had an illness. And this topic is called adult sounding farts. And the reason I've called it that is because I don't know why. I just guess I'd never heard a baby fart.
No, I mean, why would you have done? Yeah. It's not something you go searching for, is it? Like, it's quite a niche sound.
Well, it's not.
No,
it's not a niche sound.
No, true.
Because I thought it was going to be this meek little, baby squeaky, comedic thing, but it just sounded like an adult fart. Like, it just completely caught me off guard. Like this little thing could produce farts that sounded just like mine.
So you thought the baby would have to grow into adult farts, but really they're just born with it. It is. Yeah, I mean, it is quite. I mean,
maybe it's born with it. Maybe it's adult fart.
Or maybe that's the colic.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of drops of ink for Cole, and it will sound like a meek little baby fart.
Back me up though, right? The kids just have adult sounding farts from the off.
I mean, like when Margaret was first born, and obviously she was farting quite regularly and stuff. I think there was a few times where Lizzie was like, "Was that you or the baby?" So it was definitely her. It was 100% her. I promise. As much as it might have sounded like me, it was 100% the baby. Definitely wasn't. But
it's a brilliant decoy, if nothing else.
But do you see what I mean though? Like, I mean, did anyone else have like an expectation, or did it catch anyone else off guard that they sounded so full and adult, or did he just accept it for what it was?
It did. No, it did shock me. To be fair, I was just like, what? Especially like when you're trying to like change a nappy as well, and they just do it like right there, just like totally brazen.
Oh, there's
like
nothing more disconcerting than a mid nappy change fart.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going to come along with it.
Yeah. Well, I experienced the worst outcome in that scenario, as I mentioned last week.
Sorry. My mum's just entered the chat on Twitch, and she said Margot doesn't fart, she backfires. So that's a personal joke between Margot and my dad. Like, she has a laugh with Granddad, And when she does a fart, my dad goes, "Have you just backfired?" So she now refers to it as that.
It's a backfire.
Brilliant. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I do get it. It's I wasn't expecting it. I'm not gonna lie, but it's one of those things like until you brought it to my attention, I was like, oh yeah, like why does it sound like that? Why do they not grow into it?
Yeah.
What's your? Is there been any like times when the baby's like farted and you think, oh, that was quite embarrassing, or was there any times when it happened and you thought, yeah, sort of made you jump or anything?
Do you want to go for it, Ollie? There's nothing that actually springs to mind that embarrassed me or anything, but it just the shock of it. And
but one thing I would say is that while they're adult sounding farts, I don't recall them smelling particularly bad.
Not until they start eating properly. Yeah.
Yeah, or that does change quite abruptly. There's a big change in what comes out of that side of the
might need to get him to eat like a bag of pop puree or something. Just to improve the smell of it. No, I'm just like thinking, I don't know if you guys were like out and about at the shops or anything, and you've like gone to bend down to pick something up from a low shelf, and the baby's cracked one out, and someone's looked at you and thought, "Who's that?" Like nothing like that.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't the baby. I can tell you that now.
Oh, here we go. Too much detail.
I've not had a particular moment like that with the kids. It's always like the really quiet, suspenseful point of a movie, and it's me and Kirsten sat on the sofa with like Betty fast asleep, and he says, and it like so ended one.
The comedy value though is brilliant.
Was that the door creaking or was it class.
Ellis is reaching the point now where he's like he finds them amusing, and you can tell he's quite proud of them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like he's reaching that stage, whereas when they're really little, they just do them because the body's just getting rid of the gas. But now he uses them as weapons, and sometimes they're chemical weapons as well. They're pretty awful sometimes.
Yeah, Margot's definitely got to that stage where she's like using them for like comedic effect as well.
Yeah.
So she'll like do one again, like when Lizzie's about, and she'll be like, "Is that you?" And she was like, "Yeah, it was definitely Daddy." She'll like use it and try and like blame me and stuff. But yeah, she's I think
the
it's
lack
quite
of shame is awesome.
Yeah, I
love it.
It's a normal bodily function. We should enjoy it for what it is. I think as blokes, I don't think we ever grow out of the hilarity of a fart, do we?
Never.
So I'm gonna keep championing her backfires for the rest of her life.
This next topic I've got down, I don't know how much involved you're gonna be able to get in this one, Louis. I do apologise.
Yeah, I'll go and put the kettle on this one. But I'm dying to hear about this because obviously you guys have both got boys.
Yeah,
go on. The floor is yours.
This caught me off guard much more than the farts. And the first time I noticed it was when I was changing a nappy, and I didn't know really little boys could get hard-ons. I just didn't know. I just didn't. Why would they? Like, I just didn't realise. And after not long, not only did he sort of realise he was getting them, he realised that he had the ability to control them to an extent, like wag it about a little bit, like. And I'd be changing his nappy, and he'd have this hard on, and he'd be staring me down in the eye like some kind of power move. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do about it?
This is hilarious. It's so true though. It was right from the get-go as well. It's not even it's not even like after a few months. There's no grace period on this. It's literally out they come, and they're standing proud, pretty much from the off, aren't they? But
That's brilliant.
Trying to negotiate you whilst putting
it's
on a
obviously
nappy
a boy thing. I mean,
yeah.
there is an angle of this for baby girls, and that's the period, the first that they come out with a bit of blood, don't they?
Do they?
Do you remember that with Margot?
At this young age,
I don't
really.
Yeah. No. So when they come out of the womb, the mum's hormones are still going around the baby, and they'll have a bit of blood.
I genuinely don't recall that. I mean, Lizzie will probably be in the chat saying, "Of course that happened," but I don't remember that.
It might not be something with all girls then, but it was definitely a thing for Betty for the first couple of days.
Wow.
With the what have you put it as on your notes here? Hard on power move. When you talking about this, what is it like? Sort of like you say, changing nappies for boys, like because obviously I hear these stories about them like pissing everywhere and all this sort of stuff. Like, is it absolutely wild? Is it like the Wild West, changing a boy's nappy?
I actually never got pissed on while changing a nappy. I was lucky. I'll be honest. It didn't happen to me.
I did once, and I learned very quickly how to handle the situation, and that is just a quick cup. You just cup it down. There we go.
What, just bare hand, or do you use like a towel?
You just have one hand on the other end of the nappy. You know that.
Oh yeah, what? Just flap it over.
The transitional period doesn't last very long. You always have one fresh one to slip underneath, and then you can cup it over. If
always got one in the holster. Yeah,
that's it. And but I'll always remember my sister-in-law changing George for the first time, and she left his winky pointing straight up out the top of the nappy.
What, out the top of the nappy?
Yeah, literally, it was brilliant. It wasn't even in there. It was just. It was 5 minutes after the nappy had been changed, and it was just water everywhere. Well, it was piss everywhere, right? But and we went over to him, and went to go sort of check his nappy, and it's like, his nappy's bone dry. And I pull up the top of the baby grow, and you just see the top of the trousers, and then there's just the winky pointing out the top. And I'm like, that might be where that's.
That is brilliant.
So we've not let her sort of let that down at all.
We noticed that even if it's properly tucked in within the nappy, if the pee-pee is facing up, the wee's coming out.
There's even if it's
properly, even if it's properly secured in there. So we found we always had to negotiate
or tuck down.
Tuck down, yeah.
A little tuck, yeah. So does that depend on the type of nappy? Like, is that just nappies, or is that pull-ups as well? Is it the same for both?
No, same with pull-ups, yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah. If the pee-pee's facing up, the pee-pee's coming out.
See, and people
it's a universal problem.
And people will say that our podcast is not educational, but we're learning we're learning something new every day here, lads.
Yeah.
If if I ever have a boy, I'm going to be tucking his pecker down left, right, and centre. There'll be no wet baby grows around here. That is brilliant.
I mean, I don't think there's any such thing as getting through the nappy phase with completely dry nights. Even if you know all the tricks, there's going to be occasions where you're going to get a leak.
Of course,
there's not a nappy on the market that doesn't.
Yeah.
Leak at some point.
I mean, especially once they start moving around and like wriggling around in the night, obviously there's always going to be that the movement is going to cause some sort of leakage, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've had it. Do you know what I mean? But it's all part and parcel of it, isn't it? Like our washing bill has gone through the roof since we've had a baby. Just like every day, just washing clothes and baby grows and muslins or whatever it was. At the start when she was using those and whatever, but wouldn't have it any other way. But that is so. Yeah. So he just looks you in the eye.
Looks me with like a little wry smile, and he's just like making it move by itself while staring me down while I'm trying to,
like some sort of Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, it's less common now because he only sort of really wears nappies for bed now. Like he's out on nappies otherwise. So it's not really so much a thing anymore. But I do remember when it was going on, I was just thinking, like, what have you got to be excited about? Like,
yeah, but I guess it's just the body just doing
its thing.
Its natural
but again,
thing.
Because, like, I don't really remember them being a thing until I hit puberty. Do you know what I mean? I don't recall ever it being a thing. So that's why it shocked me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, at least like safety in numbers because Ollie's experienced it with George as well. So
Yeah,
it does sound like quite a common thing. And like I say, if at some point, I may get to experience it, and I'll be calling you guys up and being like, "Yeah, it's happened. He's doing the Jedi mind trick."
I've got another 2 things on the list.
However,
no. Well, you say let's go. I think we've been going for what, an hour and 10, 12 minutes or something.
Yeah, just over an hour live anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. This one I think deserves to be its own pod. The one about nurseries. I think that's a big discussion.
Yeah, we spoke briefly about it, but I think definitely.
I don't think that topic we can do justice in we were trying to cram it in. There's a lot to unpack with that one, so I'm gonna move on from that.
Yeah.
And go to the last one, which is how's the diet?
How's the who?
How's the diet? How's the eating? How well do your kids eat? How much of a struggle is that? What things have you found easy and what have you found difficult? What challenges do you come up against?
When
it's got harder.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. For us, it's got harder. When Margot first went on to solid foods, I guess again because she was so young, she would kind of just experiment with whatever was in front of her. Whereas now, she kind of knows what she wants and what she likes and stuff, and she's dinner times can be more of a challenge now for sure because she's more aware. But one thing that I have noticed, because she does have times where she's with grandparents and things like that, she'll go to my parents, for example, or Lizzie's parents, and she'll eat something there, and we're like, oh, great, she's eating that now, so we'll buy that, and then she won't eat it with us. But
really?
But what I think I've figured out is that it's not that she doesn't like that food. I think it's that she just doesn't fancy that food on that particular day. But she doesn't know. But she doesn't know how to say that. So she's just like, she's just like, I just don't like that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, but I think in her mind, it's like, I don't actually want that right now. I prefer something else.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely got harder. Meal times can be a challenge for sure, and she certainly reacts different with me and Lizzie because I work shifts. There's sometimes times when Lizzie's doing dinner time on her own, for example, and she'll act completely different to if I'm doing dinner time, like on my own, if Lizzie's working or whatever. So that can be a challenge as well, because I think she knows how to, act around both of us.
Master manipulators.
Yeah, of course they are. They don't take long to figure out how to, push certain parents' buttons and get what they want from certain parents and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, with me and with George, he's very obsessed with textures of food. That I never was. I've very much. I mean, you can probably tell. I'm a seafood and eat it kind of guy. George he doesn't like things with sauce on them. So with the exception of pasta, he'll have a pasta sauce, but nothing too saucy. But doesn't like ketchup. Doesn't like any dips or anything like that.
Really?
Loves his vegetables and fruits, so we're not having any trouble with that. And like carrots and cucumber, broccoli, all of that, he'll wolf down. The textures of food he can be quite funny with. So if say if you cook bacon and it goes a bit too crispy, or sausages and they've got like a bit of black charring on the side or something like that, you won't touch it because it's texturally different to what you like.
I mean, I've got a bacon preference. I can see where it's coming from. Do you know what I mean?
Haven't we all? I suppose.
The man knows what he wants.
Yeah. And getting him to eat with a knife and fork as well, and trying to avoid finger foods is quite tricky. I think the temptation is just to go for what's easy for them, as opposed to what's sort of best for their development or whatever. There's two sides to it, isn't it? Getting him better with the hand-eye coordination, trying to encourage him to eat with his knife and fork, which is what we're trying to do at the moment. Betty, though, it's just chuck stuff in front of her and she'll just wolf it down.
She's at that age still, and she she just anything goes sort of thing. Yeah. We have
any dietary requirements and that kind of thing, lactose or gluten or anything?
No, nothing. Fortunately, not.
No, I say my sister-in-law, she's had a baby who's he's now he was lactose, gluten intolerant, and now also eggs as well.
Oh my god!
Which
the list of available foods is just going from here, and
I was going to say
the challenge. There are a lot of alternatives though available, and like free from now is way better than what it used to be. But I couldn't imagine how difficult it must be to sort of get a child to experiment with solid foods and then have those restrictions on top of it as well.
Yeah, we've got some friends of ours. Their son is dairy and is it wheat or is it gluten? I don't know if that's the same thing, but there's certainly like two.
Gluten is wheat, yeah. Gluten is wheat.
I'm sure there is something else. It's like a cereal intolerance or something like that. But yeah, he's I know, like, obviously they have to sort of navigate that quite, because if we try and arrange to meet up to go out and stuff. Oh, it's oat. Sorry, yeah, oat. Lizzie just put in the chat. So it's dairy and oats is what he's intolerant to. So he has to, when we go out and look for places to eat and stuff, obviously we have to bear that in mind. But most restaurants now, I mean, it's so common, isn't it? Like, there'll always be an option of some description from most restaurants anyway that we've been to. But yeah, again, it's just one of those things. You don't know until you know, sort of thing. And then once you're in a situation, if you've got a child like that, or someone with a child like that, you just start thinking that way. Oh, like, we're going to go out for dinner with these friends. Oh, we'll make sure we find somewhere that's appropriate for their son, and it's just like, it just becomes just a normal way of thinking, really. But yeah, Margot's like I say, she's not intolerant to anything that we're aware of. But yeah, I think the only thing is at the moment, she eats vegetables and stuff. Absolutely loves, like, broccoli and cucumber and stuff is her favourite. She'll eat fruit and all that kind of thing. She's not a huge fan of, like, meat or, like, any kind of protein like that, which we do struggle with sometimes. She prefers fish, actually. Fish to the kind of chicken or other meats and stuff. But yeah, I think with her at the moment, it's just distinguishing between not liking a food or not wanting it at that moment.
Yeah.
And just being able to articulate that, really. So, like, sometimes we'll get something for her and she's like, I don't like it. And then, once she's gone to bed, Lizzie will be like, oh, great, we just bought a load of that in and now she don't like it. And I say, well, I don't think it is the fact that she doesn't like it. I think she just doesn't know how to convey that message to us. So.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, because we've had that before where me and Connie sort of gone, oh, great, it's gone off that now.
Yeah.
But you're probably right. And I'm sure there's something to that. And it never crossed my mind that that's all it was.
Yeah.
I actually had a very different experience with Ellis to the two of you, by the sounds of things. Like, vegetables are like a no-go zone. Like, he just won't try them, but he knows he hates them. Like, he's like, he loves ketchup. So he's completely opposite to George. Is it George? You
Yeah.
said that. Yeah, he loves ketchup. Like we can give him like chips, chicken nuggets, and ketchup, and he'll just finger the ketchup and lick it until it's gone. And he'll be like, you haven't touched the chips and nuggets." He's like, "No." It's just like, oh god. And he went through a phase where he'd eat those like super noodles.
Mm-hmm.
He loved them for a while. All the really bad and beige stuff is the stuff he would eat. But then he'd come back from nursery and we'd read what he'd had that day, and he'd be like some kind of like fruit tagine or something, and he'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, why are you eating this stuff there?
Yeah. 100%. We've had that. Like, you know, some of the stuff they serve up at nursery, like you say, it would be like some sort of like vegetable moussaka or something like, you know, and it's just like, and then you read it, it's like, oh, she's had like 2 portions of that. It's like, great, you know, barely get her to eat a bloody fish finger at home. You know,
maybe she's sitting there thinking, why are these fuckers not making me vegetable moussaka?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? Actually, because you guys were talking about like tomato ketchup and sauces and stuff, I do remember actually. So Margot, when she used to eat, I don't know if it still happens actually, because we've kind of avoided it for a little while. When she used to eat tomatoes, because she used to like just eating like raw tomato and stuff, and like kind of tomatoey like pasta sauces, you know, like passata sauces and that. But if she'd eat that, it would bring up a little rash around her face. So I don't know whether it was like the acidity in a tomato or something. She used to come up in a bit of a reaction to that. And we
actually George had exactly the same thing with strawberries.
Yeah. So it could be a similar sort of thing to that.
Where he'd get like a red rash around his mouth just after he's eaten them, and it would stay like that for. And no, it's not just the strawberry juice stuck on there. We did try and get it off with a baby wipe, but
that's what we thought that at first. It was like, oh, maybe it's just like the tomato juice around the face, but no, it was actually a rash. But yeah, we haven't really tried it with that recently, so I don't know whether it was just like a thing that sort of came and went, or whether it's still there. But
do your kids all like McDonald's chicken nuggets? They are like crack to Ellis, and I feel like they put crack in them because all kids that I come across seem to love McDonald's nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, McDonald's chicken nuggets.
We didn't choose the Nug Life. The Nug Life chose us. Yeah. No. But Margot likes a cheeky Happy Meal every now and then. In fact, going slightly off subject, but tomorrow afternoon I'm off work tomorrow, and I'm taking Margot to the cinema. We're going to go and watch they're showing some like Bluey episodes at the cinema, so I'm taking her to see that, and I said about taking her out for lunch after, and I said, should we go to Pizza Hut, like, and have a pizza together sort of thing. But I think she's got her eyes set on another Happy Meal. I think she wants some nugs. Yeah. She wants that crack.
Whoever came up with the McDonald's Happy Meal must have made millions from McDonald's.
Oh, because I mean, it's fortunate.
Kids love it.
Yeah, it's just like the marketing around it. You know, you get your little toy with it and stuff like that. It's just I mean, they've made an absolute fortune. Whoever came up with that idea, Ronald McDonald. And the hamburger. You don't see much of them anymore, do you? They seem to have gone off him, haven't they? I don't really see. When I was a kid, you'd go into McDonald's and you'd see Ronald McDonald, the Hamburglar, and all that, like the characters all on the wall and stuff.
Well, they've completely sucked the joy out of McDonald's, haven't they? Because like the color scheme used to be like, it'd be like around the building and have like the red roof and the big yellow M. But now it's like it's almost like corporate branding now, isn't it?
They've gone like down
dark green.
Yeah, they've almost gone like down the Apple route, haven't they? For it's like walking into an Apple store now. Like when you go to a McDonald's, and there's all tablets and stuff everywhere. Have you seen it? Like for the kids, there's all tablets, and like just even like you don't even speak to a person at the counter now. You just order it on the bloody screen there and stuff.
Yeah, there's no tills anymore, are there? I don't think. Do they have tills? I don't think they do.
I think they do, but it's only for like people that just want to go up and complain. You can't actually transact. Take my money. Give me a Happy Meal, bro.
We're just descending into a bunch of grumpy old men here.
Oh yeah,
Basically,
definitely.
But they do table service at McDonald's as well now.
Hell yeah! Now that is a
Not
lifesaver when you've got kids.
That's yeah. To be fair, if you're going in with the kids and stuff, and you don't want to faff around like waiting at the till and stuff, go in, use the machine, whack your table number in, over here, Gaston.
Yeah,
it is lovely.
Gaston.
Do you know what? Actually, shout out to McDonald's. Like I said, we don't go there like not sponsored, exactly. Maybe we could get a franchise, boys.
yeah.
We went to actually it's out sort of not far from where Ollie's parents are based at. You know, the one near Clinton. I took Margot there once, and there was a lady there, and I think she was just like she was cleaning up around the tables and stuff, but she was like a really nice lady. I doubt she'll ever listen to this podcast, and I can't even remember what her name was. She did tell us because Margot said to me, "What is that lady's name?" But she was really nice, and I feel like people like that should be commended. They're pillars of the community. You know, feeding our kids nutritional food and giving them lots of activities to do. Yeah, exactly. She's just a crack dealer. She's a glorified crack dealer, walking in plain sight. But yeah, she was a really nice lady, and I would like to shout her out. And if we could get her on, maybe as a guest, who knows?
You never know. It's worth putting these things out into the universe. It might come back.
The stars might align. You never know. We might share this on Facebook. Someone that we know reshares it, and she's like, "Hang on a second, I work at McDonald's in Clinton." And there we go.
She's got a glint in her eye.
Dreams really can come true, can't they?
Huh?
Dreams can come true, did you say?
Exactly.
The last thing I'll say on the food front, which is another thing that is a huge bugbear for me, like, I tell you what, like, it's weird with kids, isn't it? Like, you would never accept this behaviour from anyone else. You just cut them out of your life if anyone else treated you the way your kids treat you. But Ellis has got this thing where he loves to open a banana, but he doesn't want to eat it. The amount of bananas I've thrown away because he gets them and just opens it.
The thing is, like, with a banana as well, like, there's no going back. Like, you know, there's loads of other foods where it's like, oh, you can just sort of like seal that back up, or do you know what I mean? Come back to it later, sort of thing. Once a banana's open, like, the clock's ticking. You got to get that down. There, do you know what I mean?
Stick it in
not many places.
Sorry,
stick it in a Tupperware tub. Whack it in the fridge.
No, but they go all bruised and stuff, don't they? Like,
in a couple of days, bread. Yeah, make some banana bread with it. That's what Kirsty does.
Or banana pancakes.
Yeah, banana pancakes. A bit of bruised banana, never anyone.
Hey, I'm down with that. As a gooner, bruised banana. You're talking my language.
Oh, don't talk to me about football. Anyway, we digress. It'll be like our old podcast.
Yeah, I know.
The old spuds.
Speaking of spuds, do you kids eat potatoes?
What a segue. This is the episode of segues. Does she eat potatoes? Yep, she eats potatoes. Very versatile, actually. Very versatile bit of kit potato.
Potato waffle.
I've had this conversation with a number of people in my life. Normally when, like, the conversation dries up, and I just sit there and think, I'm going to ask the question now. So, how many uses have you got for a potato? In a cooking sense. You got jacket potato, mashed potato, chips, roast potatoes, boiled potatoes.
Do you know what? Roast potatoes are my speciality. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I throw down when it comes to roast potatoes because I love them so much.
You've put time into
them
it.
With so much love because I want to enjoy them.
One thing that was a game changer for me for roast potatoes, and it's only come to me recently, later in life, is you know, like roughing them up sort of thing to make them a bit to get that crispiness. I didn't really know that was a thing, but then when you sort of rough them up and the edges become a little bit all fluffy, bit of oil over the top, and you know, and then you put your seasoning on and stuff. Oh, game changer.
Yeah, it's game changer.
My top tip is when you've got to be parboiling your spuds before you roast them.
Absolutely.
Whack a stock cube in there.
What?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Whack a stock cube.
What, with water? Like
beef
Your
stock,
tatty, beef stock, yes. Yeah, yeah,
a,
yeah.
a whole oxo.
Yeah, I'd go for a full OXO cube in there, drop it in.
what? How much
Or
water?
other varieties are available.
Or do you just?
In your boiling water
Oh,
when you
okay.
parboil
When you're
your
boiling
tatty.
them, I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
'Cause yeah, parboil, and
yeah.
then you decant that water, give them a little rough up, whack them in your hot oil, and away you go like you would
I
otherwise.
I am trying that next time.
maybe
I
that
am
maybe that'll
trying
be
that.
your snack for the start of next episode.
Yeah, roast
a,
potatoes.
a whole a whole batch of roast potatoes coated in OXO cube juice.
I feel like we've gone off piste once again.
That's not like us.
I
Yeah. Also, this
didn't even realise we were skiing. I'm not going to lie. I thought we were doing a podcast.
by the way, guys, this episode did cut out briefly,
Did it?
but it started up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice the two segments together. So don't be alarmed.
Fair.
But if
No,
there's
that's
like,
alright.
because I think my internet did go down the toilet, so to speak, at one bit.
Speaking of episodes, do you guys remember at the end of the pilot episode, I presented you both with a question?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Do you need reminding of what that question was?
I think we should remind the
No.
listeners at the very least.
Yeah, yeah. So I asked the question to both of the guys, and I wanted them to both answer independently. Do you prefer matinees or manatees? So whoever wants to go first, I would like to know why as well, not just your answer.
Go on,
I'd
Ollie.
like to know why.
Do you want to go first?
Shall I take the reins?
Yeah.
I feel like from the moment you posed the question to me, I knew the answer from the get go. I feel quite passionate about this.
Okay.
In all honesty, it's got to be matinees. I
yeah.
can tell you right now, I have been to hundreds of matinees in my time, but I've never seen a manatee. So I can tell you right now, I can live without manatees. I've
Yep.
done 30 years so far.
Yeah, and you're fine.
What's another 30, right?
Yeah.
But matinees are quite pleasurable, and you're home in time for bed. You know,
And they're great things for kids. You don't want to
That
be
as
taking kids
well.
to a late show, do you?
Do you know what?
That as
I'm
well, yeah.
going to jump in here actually as well, because it goes without saying I'm going to say matinee for similar reasons. I've never had the opportunity to encounter with a manatee, although my parents have. They were in Florida on holiday, and there was an excursion where they actually got to swim with manatees. Like,
Okay.
who'd have thought you could do it? So
Cool.
maybe I'll get them on as a guest, so they can explain their experience of swimming with manatees.
You
But
and your blood
uh,
you and your guests,
mate, my
you've
guest
suggested
list,
about
my
20
guest list
guests
is
so far.
unreal. Honestly, but matinees. I
Difficult
mean,
when we don't get past episode 6.
exactly. I've exhausted all my guests. Nice thing about matinees, well, it breaks the day up a bit, doesn't it? Like, you can sort of potter around in the morning, do a few bits and bobs, and then all of a sudden you got the matinee performance. Oh, great! That breaks the day up a little bit, and then, like you say, you're back in time for dinner, bedtime, all that usual stuff.
Yeah.
I think the matinee is a great shout, and yeah, I'm all aboard the matinee train. What was the
And when
last
you come
matinee
out,
that you
you've still got-
went to? Sorry, can you remember? Because I know what mine was, and it relates to
Me?
this. Yeah.
Mine was the last matinee I went to was when I was. Did you finish your GCSEs at 16? Is it 16 or 15?
Around then.
Around then.
Yeah.
So it was then, and my mum took me to go and see a show called Blood Brothers in London.
Classic.
That was a classic.
And that was the last time that was like as a treat for finishing my exams. Little did you know I was going to fail them all.
Jokes on you, mum.
But yeah, she took me to see that as a treat. It was really nice, actually. Nice.
I've got just before we go on, I've got Lizzie in my chat here. She says, the first time I met your dad, he showed me a picture of him swimming with a manatee, but it wasn't a manatee. It was your mum.
What?
Well, she didn't add the last bit on, but that was true. I remember when was it the first time you met my dad? Oh my god! Like, how did that not scare you away, Lizzie? Yeah, the first time Lizzie met my parents, my dad. It must have been around that time when they went. But my dad was, oh yeah, we went swimming with manatees, and he showed showed Lizzie a picture of it. picture of the manatees, and it was my mum.
I love the idea of your dad having that photo in his wallet that he just draws out at will from now on.
My mum's in the chat saying, "What the hell?" as if she's only just realised. Sorry, Mum. You're coming on next week's episode. Yes, brilliant use of the comedy trombone. Excellent. That is fantastic.
And the other good thing about a matinee as well is you can get some go to McDonald's for some crack afterwards, can't you?
Absolutely. Nothing like a matinee and a bit of McDonald's crack on the way home, is there? Yeah. My last matinee that I went to. In fact, I don't even know if there was an evening performance of this because it was a kids' show. We went to see In the Night Garden, a matinee performance of In the Night Garden. I took Margot to that. I don't know if you guys, if Ellis and George and Betty have watched In the Night Garden. They had, what is the, you got the train, which is like the Pinky Ponk or something like that, and and then the Ninky Nonk is the blimp, isn't it? Like, well, honestly, that thing came flying out over the crowd. They had it on a drone. Yeah. It was really cool. Really? Yeah.
Wow.
But that was a matinee performance. And that was really good actually. That was that. What's the theatre on Broadway, Ollie? Is it Broadway Theatre?
It's called the New Theatre.
New Theatre.
It used to be called the Broadway Theatre, but no, they renamed.
Yeah, so that was we went to.
Ironically, it's old.
Yeah, we went.
Sounds cool.
We went to. They actually do some good stuff there. Actually, not sponsored. But we should. We are in that region of the world, so we should probably promote some of the stuff that's going on around us at some point. But yeah, David, what was the last one you went to, Ollie? Do you remember?
I don't specifically, if I'm all honest. It was probably some sort of West End type jobby, either Wicked or it was 39 Steps.
Okay.
Do you know what?
I think it was Wicked. The last one.
I wasn't laughing at you just then. I was laughing at what someone's put in the chat. But this might shock you guys. Actually, I've never seen a West End show. Never been to the West End.
Have you not?
No, and
really?
Honestly,
I thought you were a man of culture.
Well, this is. I've told a couple of people this, and they're like, "How have you not been to?" Because it just sounds right up my street.
Like the musicianship's unreal.
Well, this is
particularly on Wicked. The musicians are next level.
So maybe we need to.
I've known you for the best part of 10 years. You've never ever divulged that.
Well, exactly. So that's the end of our friendship. But maybe we should do a Dad's Day Out at the West End. That'd be good fun.
Yeah.
But the reason I was laughing a minute ago is because I was saying about that matinee performance. Obviously, it was a kids' show. Being in the Night Garden. We went. It was me, Margot, and Mum. Obviously, was Lizzie there? But yeah, my mum was there for 100% because she said, "Do you remember when that kid was sick in the row in front of us, mate? It was horrific. Like so, in the new theatre, you say it's called the new old theatre. Obviously, it's got these nice material seats that fold down, like old cinema seats that fold down.
Yeah.
And then for the kids, they had these kind of like plastic risers that they would sit on, almost like a high chair to lift them up a little bit so they could see. Anyway, this kid in front was like, "Mummy, I feel sick," and literally it just escalated so quickly. Next thing I know, the dad has turned the baby seat that he's sitting on upside down, and the kid is projectile vomiting into this, and it is splashing everywhere. I didn't know it was an interactive show because we were in a splash zone. It was honestly. And then the mum turns around to us because we were sat right behind him, and she was like, "Oh, he's been telling me he was feeling sick all morning." It's like, well, why did you bring him then? That was obviously that was the first thing that came to mind. But yeah, so he was sick everywhere, and then the staff at the theatre they came out with there's a kit. It's like a vomit or bodily fluid kit that they use to clean up and stuff. But I was just like, oh my God. And I don't even think, I think we had to sit there for the rest of the show. They moved that family, obviously, because they were sick everywhere. But we still had to sit there. So it was like, Ickle Pickles coming out, and I'm just smelling the bloke's leftover food from last night.
Have either of you two had any public vomit or bodily fluid situations with the kids?
With the kids, I probably
definitely not vomit.
I probably have to dig deep into the archive.
Actually, just on this holiday, so we went to an all-inclusive place where we were, and I don't know if you guys have been to all-inclusives before, but what they all tend to have is they'll have like an area where they've got like themed restaurants, but you have to like book those specifically. And one night we thought, we'll book the Asian restaurant, just so it's different from having like the same buffet like every night.
Yeah.
And so we went to it, and we like, me and Connie dressed up really nice, dressed him up really nice, and it was like a beautiful view over the bay, like sun setting, and all of a sudden, like me and Connie were just like trying the wine, and they were like bringing us like this nice Chardonnay. And then all of a sudden, like while the waiter was like, "Okay, to pause." Like, "Yes, please." Yeah. Ellis was like, "Daddy, I'm wet." I was like, "What?" And I turned around, and he was just sat in this seat that like the seat had a little dip, so like it just like pulled all in this area where he was sat, and I was just like, and he's normally really good at going to the toilet now. It's such a rare thing, and I don't know why. Just on this occasion, he was just like, he just didn't say anything. I think he's still at the point where like you still sometimes have to remind him that you do need to go, otherwise that will happen. And in his defense, I hadn't asked him for ages if he needed to go, and I was just like, oh god, and Connie had to take him back to the room and get him changed and whatnot, and literally about 30 seconds after she took him off and the guy like came and got rid of the chair, all the starters started coming out. And I was just sat there looking at these like delicious, different like Asian fusion starters, just chomping at the bit, thinking, if I only asked him 5 minutes ago if he needed a piss, none of this would be happening.
I have had a message in the chat which has jogged my memory. So when we was coming back, we did a family holiday in Tenerife, and it was on the flight back. I was pushing Margot along in a like buggy pram thing, and I looked down and she was just like, she'd been sick on herself, and I was like, great, like, just about to get on a flight back home. So we like got her changed and stuff, and I think we got something to eat at the airport, and then she was sick again, and then she was just sick the whole flight, like, and it's like a 4-hour flight back from Tenerife or something like that, and it was just horrific because like she was don't get me wrong, she was as good as gold. She didn't make any fuss on the plane, like, to her credit. She didn't make any noise, but she just kept being sick, probably like every 20 to 30 minutes on the way back, to the point where we'd used, like in the back of the seats on a plane, they give you like a sick bag.
Yeah.
We'd used mine, Lizzie's, Margot's, obviously. Both my parents, my sister and my nephew had given us their sick bags, and then other people that were sitting around us, like, obviously caught wind that she was being sick and stuff, so they started giving us their sick bags. And every time the trolley people on the plane were coming along, like the air hostesses and stuff, any rubbish? It's like, another 10 bags of sick. There you go. It was absolutely like, because they knew
they should have handed them over.
Yeah, I mean they knew as well, because we said, like, I'm really sorry, but our daughter's just like, I don't know what it was. It was just like a bug, but it literally came on at the worst time, as you're about to sit on a plane for like 4 hours. And yeah, I just felt so bad every time the air hostess would walk past, and she's like, any rubbish? Yeah, there you go. Here's another bag of my child's vomit. Thank you. So yeah, absolutely horrific times, but yeah, it's all part and parcel, isn't it? Character building.
We've been going for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Have you got another story?
I was just going to say what my example of public bodily fluids.
Oh yeah. So so bad for cutting people off before they've said their bit, aren't I? I'm really
It's
bad.
horribly rude, actually. I mean,
I am really rude.
I wasn't
I'm
going to
sorry.
say anything, but seeing as you bring it up, I mean,
Yeah.
no, George, he, horrific. We're in town and just had a cheeky Nando's, which is actually one of the foods that George does like to eat quite a lot.
Good lad.
And we went to Waterstones to have a little look at some of the books and have a little peruse round. And this was probably about 10 minutes after eating, and then he's just in the kids section, standing there, and it's just going everywhere. It's just. Do you remember the sketch show Little Britain?
Yeah.
Where there's the old lady that just vomits and pisses herself or whatever. It was just that. It was constant for about 10 minutes. There was nothing we could do. There was no toilets. They didn't have any toilets. So literally, we just said to him, just do it in one place. Let's keep it there. And then they didn't have a blooming you know your kit, your funky kit that you got for Ellis to clean up the sick. They didn't have any of that. All I got given was a blue roll and a piece of anti-bac spray. But and it was on carpet.
But let's be fair, like there isn't anything that we can't solve without a bit of blue roll and some antibacterial spray. That is like the solution to most people's problems.
It was bleak, and a paper bag as well to put it in.
I'm assuming you've all got that Dr. Beckman's carpet cleaner.
Oh, of course. I mean, we've got it for Margot and for the pets. To be fair,
it's a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Have you not got it, Ollie? You looked like you didn't know what it was.
I don't think I have. No, we've got Shake and Vac, which is like
so it's
got a brush thing on the end of it, isn't it? Like
a brush on the top, yeah, and then.
Is it the white? Is it a white bottle with the brush over the?
Kind of like triangular shape, isn't it? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the one.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
That's going to be the catchphrase, isn't it?
I think so.
Right, lads, it's been an hour and a half. Like I said, this episode is going to be probably at some point chopped up into 2 bits because my internet decided to go down the toilet, but I will splice it together somehow. It's been a pleasure, but David, you've probably got a question for us, have you?
I have got a question. I'm going to ask a question at the end of every pod. I think what I might do now is for future pods is I might move the answer
to the start.
To the start.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to go for a slightly different kind of question this time.
Yep.
I don't want it to always be the same format. Sometimes it will be, but I just want to mix it up a little bit just to keep it interesting.
Love that.
This time my question simply is, what is she going to look like with a chimney on her?
Oh my goodness. Answers. Can people get involved in this? Can they send it to our email as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're just clawing for an email, aren't you?
I just want that notification.
Email.
Yeah. I just want that dopamine hit.
Just go on a couple of suspicious websites and you'll have some Indian prince trying to.
I might start signing up to mailing lists just so I get some bits into our inbox. I want spam at least.
What do you mean, like the tin spam?
Not sponsored. Oh, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
It has been a pleasure.
I'm gonna hit the live stream button here, but thank you for everyone tuning in. Like we said earlier, please follow us on socials. Go back to the start of the episode, and you'll be able to find all that there. But I'm gonna say good night from myself.
Night.
Auf Wiedersehen, pet. Love you guys. Peace and love. Bye.